any SCADA system that's called safety, and it is, with very minor exceptions, completely separate. It has different requirements, it operates in a different kind of way. It's much more closely attuned to the physical nature of the thing rather than the production data that comes from the thing or the operations data that comes from the thing. It's there to protect the equipment and keep it from going all, you know, Skynet, Terminator on you, because the computers are still in charge. You might manage to completely screw the process up. I mean, you change that 132 to 0, and something didn't flow right into a reactant vessel, and the shampoo came out without the part that makes your hair extra glossy. They find that because they test, and they generally throw it out the door. If they don't catch it before it has left the door, you get these things called product recalls. It happens. We haven't gone completely Skynet yet. None of these systems are completely autonomous. There is no completely automated factory that completely manufactures everything completely on its own without any human intervention whatsoever. We're not there yet. There's always a human person. There's an operator, a controller. This is largely a liability thing because computers aren't allowed to legally make decisions on their own. You need a bag of mostly water to take care of that. But maybe you are a super hacker. Maybe you've busted the SCADA system. You've completely pwned it. They kind of plan for that because stuff breaks. Most systems, they don't even really have a problem with 2 simultaneous failures. They just keep chugging along. This happens fairly often. You know, even when it's actually on fire, it just keeps happening because stuff falls down, it gets picked up, it gets repaired. You know, the people who do this stuff know what they're doing. Doing a live repair on a huge transmission line is not a problem. They do it hanging out of a helicopter if necessary. Disturbing to watch, but it's done. Pipelines break, they pick them up, they weld them back together, and they sometimes clean up the mess. And, you know, 99 times out of 100, and you know, really more like 99,999 times out of 100,000, you don't feel it at all. Can anybody remember the last time that the water stopped in the city they live in? I got one hand that was only half up. Anybody remember the last power outage? Yeah, that happens all the time. Those are both SCADA systems. The water doesn't tend to stop. Maybe the water people have got something figured out. You don't notice this stuff. You've got a cozy little house. There's no one wandering the streets looking for flesh to feed on. You don't notice this stuff. Except, you know, Aurora, Smart Grid, Stuxnet. Okay, so Aurora demonstration. Everybody remember the Aurora demonstration? Wasn't that awesome? It was on CNN. The pundits could talk about it like crazy. Yes, under very, very controlled circumstances with some modest effort and a completely known target surface, you can make things go bang. In fact, a lot of things go bang. Most chemical plants go bang pretty good. Lots of manufacturing goes bang kind of in an awesome way. You end up with things like 2 chemicals mixing together in a reactant vessel, and you stop the flow of one chemical and the other chemical then hardens. And now you've got a reactant vessel that's full of a solid plug of material that needs to be replaced. So you screwed things up and good. Suggesting that your relative, you know, garden variety DEF CON hacker is going to pull this off, you know, today, not happening. Smart meters, they're not SCADA. What do people know about smart meters? It's kind of an interesting topic because it's adjacent to SCADA, but it doesn't really have anything at all to do with it. Smart meters are metering. It's billing management, it's revenue management, it's controlling sometimes a little bit, and then you look at what kind of control are you talking about. Most smart meters, it's turn it on, turn it off, which is a feature of billing. It's not a feature of operations. All right, it's saving you from rolling a truck. If you live in a university town, you're probably knee deep in smart meters because they're tired of rolling trucks every 4 months to change the meters. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe, if you're in a really advanced jurisdiction, you're looking at a case where you've got some demand load management. Yeah, anybody heard of this, where they control your air conditioner, turning it on, turning it off, trying to cycle things and keep it all nice and safe and smooth and flat? Yeah, that's not built into the meter, that's built into the thermostat. That's a different kind of box in your house. And it's not SCADA either, that's actually paging. It's kind of weird. Then there's Stuxnet. Well, somebody needs to talk about it, so I guess it'll be me. Everybody, and I mean everybody, is talking about Stuxnet now. It doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter where they're from, all of a sudden, everybody's talking about this. It's showing up in business news, it's showing up in IT news, it's showing up in the Christian Science Monitor, it's showing up in places that you would never expect it. And then the bloggers came out. And this is the part where it just gets foolish. This is not a SCADA vulnerability. This is a process control vulnerability. It's a very specific kind. It's one that I've long predicted would occur. It's bad, but it's not that bad, really. It's something that is sort of exactly the problem that control systems face. It's not a new kind of attack. It smells an awful lot like I put a floppy disk in my IBM PC in 1983 and things went bad. And that's sort of the critical gap. It's that these are solved problems that have become unsolved because the wrong people are paying attention, or because it's presumed that because we don't use floppy disks anymore, that kind of attack can't occur. Right? We all use the internet for everything, right? Portable media still exists, you still have to protect against it. You'd think that on an engineering workstation, you wouldn't have access to additional drives and stuff like that. But the reality is that somebody needs to support it, and so they're going to need to be able to install new software on it, so you're going to have additional drives. And when it comes right down to it, computers are hard. And so nobody's fixing this stuff. And it is really kind of all of our faults, right? Because IT security for a long time now has been fixated, I think is probably the best way to put it, completely fixated on the locked down desktop, which has solved all IT security problems. We haven't had a single breach or major vulnerability since we started severely locking the desktops down, right? Yeah. The solution to the problem, very simply, is to start working together, because we're sniping at each other. The control systems people are sniping at the IT security people. The IT security people are sniping at the control systems people. And then there's these guys, the manufacturers of the mess. Very few people have actually read this. I mean, everybody's read the news stories, and everybody's looked at the media stuff, and everybody knows about Stuxnet, but nobody's actually looked at the disclosure from Siemens. And it's very interesting, and it bears repeating out loud, because I haven't heard anybody repeat the section out loud. If you look at the second line at the very end there, where it says, the internal system authentication is based on predefined access data. Does anybody know what predefined access data means? It's called a password. So if the manufacturer is pulling skeezy marketing / legal issues, maybe it's time to vote with the dollar, you know? So what can we do? It'd be good to do something, right? Because we can't leave it the way it is. It's kind of a mess. So all of you are perfectly smart. I'm betting on that because I need to. You've just got to pay attention and focus. Because you've got time, right? You've solved all of your organizational IT security stuff. Yeah? Feet up on your desk most of the time. Yeah. You've got this war going on between business and asset owners and traditional IT departments and control system IT departments. And this war is not one that's being fought lightly. In most organizations, there's sufficient empire building that this is a make or break kind of fight, and they're going to fight it right until the bitter end. I'm asking you to suck it up. You're not the expert. I mean, maybe you do have an office at Starbucks and you are a hipster and you're the best, complete rock star, but probably not. If you're going to spend time at Starbucks, it should be because you're buying people coffee and asking them questions. You need to be the student first. And this is really, really hard for all of us because we've all worked our butts off to get to the top of the profession, right? We're IT security. We're at Black Hat. Come on. We're good at this stuff. But we don't actually know much about it. Being the student is important, you know? If you think about it, whether you're a consultant who goes in and works in other large organizations, or whether you work in an IT department, or whether you work in a compliance department, do you actually know what it is that the company does? I mean, you might know part of it from the name, like I work for an insurance company, but how does that widget cranking machine in the back, the operations part of the organization, do what it does to make money? This is a pretty common question that I would tend to ask because I'm that kind of pedantic jerk. But lots of people never do. And I'm not going to embarrass anybody with, you know, post-pasta hand-raving, but most people have no idea what it is the organization really does. And you could learn that. Because if you don't, you're going to really do a terrible job of being a teacher. Because you're not going to show understanding or comprehension of the needs of the person that you're trying to teach. Everyone is unique. Everyone is special. Suck it up. Put the goofy smile on. Do the night stuff. You wouldn't believe the number of things that I could tell you about. It's twisted almost. Most organizations that use SCADA, most organizations that use control systems, they're unionized, even in the IT department, among the engineering staff, among the IT security folks. So you're in a position where you're getting like woodshed talks down on the loading dock, and you need to adapt for that. You need to be able to route around that kind of a problem because your rock star attitude is killing you. And the vast majority of the people who are working in control systems are much older than you. They would prefer good old 8-bit computers that were deterministic in behavior. Modern Windows operating systems are only vaguely deterministic. In the most part, you're about the age of their kids, which makes you really hard to listen to. So you got to work past that. You need to understand the organization. And I mean really understand it. Know all of the moving pieces, know where the empire building is happening, know who's the king of each empire, who's the queen of each empire. You need to spend some time shadowing. This is a system. And we're all really, really good at taking systems apart, figuring them out, and putting them back together. This system exists in a box that usually looks more like an office building and less like that fancy new tower computer you've got. If you do this, doors will start to open. And things will get good. You'll go from basic keeping the lights on kind of InfoSec work to the kind of InfoSec work where you're getting positive change. But that positive change isn't because you're pushing it. It's because you're drawing it towards you. There's a lot of preconceptions that we have to work through. And the preconceptions are kind of awful because each one of them needs to be torn down completely. Everybody knows how to hack a computer, right? And it's an awesome, awesome kind of thing. I mean, when you get in to doing some of that serious hacking stuff, when you get into the computer and you just own it and you're awesome, you're fixated on the protocol, you're fixated on little technical minutia, and